You wake up each day feeling trapped. Trapped in the same doubts, the same anxieties, the same unfulfilling routines. It's as if you live behind invisible bars. A cell constructed not by some external warden, but by yourself. Perhaps you sense it, the way you sabotage your own hopes, the way you cling to the fears and comforts that confine you. You long for freedom and peace, yet a part of you tightens the shackles around your heart. It's a painful paradox. You are both the captive and the captor of your life. Like a cartoon of two prisoners holding bars to their own faces in an open landscape with no walls around them. You hold tightly the very bars you curse. You have, in effect, become your own jailer. This realization isn't meant to shame you. It's meant to awaken you. For how many years have you lived this way? Caught in a prison of mental walls and emotional chains that you yourself maintain. You may not have known you were even doing it. In truth, the most effective prison is the one whose prisoner doesn't even know they're imprisoned. But now, from the darkness of this cell, you see a flicker of light. You see that the key has been in your pocket all along, and yet here you are, pacing within a tiny radius of what life could be, wondering why freedom feels like a distant dream. The stage is set for a profound decision. Will you continue to languish in this self-imposed cell, or will you claim the power to free yourself? Take a hard look at the predicament. Why do you live as a prisoner when no external chains hold you? Imagine, if you will, the voice of the Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius, writing in his private journal but speaking to all of us. Stop allowing your mind to be a slave, to be jerked about by selfish impulses, to kick against fate and the present, and to mistrust the future. Stop handing over your mental autonomy to impulse and worry. His challenge echoes across time to you. Is this how you mean to go on? Will you remain a victim of your own thoughts and habits, or will you rise to the full stature of your freedom? The call is both philosophical and deeply emotional. It asks you to confront the silent tragedy of a life half-lived. Picture yourself years from now, looking back and realizing that the cage door was open the whole time, that you could have walked into the sunlight, but didn't. The thought stings. It's meant to. Socrates famously said that the unexamined life is not worth living. Consider what that means. A life where you never question the invisible scripts and fears that run you is a life spent in chains. This is a direct challenge to the way of living that keeps you internally shackled. Why accept such a life? Why settle for being your own warden? The discomfort you feel right now, that stirring of "I've had enough," is good. It means you see the bars for what they are. And now you're ready to understand not only how they got there, but how to tear them down. No one is born with these internal prisons. They are built. Brick by brick, thought by thought, you construct the walls that box you in. The materials are mental and emotional, and classical wisdom has long identified them. Ignorance is one such brick. You often don't see reality as it is. Plato said it best with his allegory of the cave. People live chained in darkness, mistaking shadows for truth, chained by the small-mindedness that confines us. In your life, the shadows are your unquestioned assumptions and biases. If you never turn toward the light of knowledge, you remain willingly confined, a prisoner to false narratives about yourself and the world. As long as you refuse to examine your beliefs, you keep yourself in a mental cave. Fear is another thick chain. Anxiety about failure, fear of others' opinions, fear of change or loss. These can paralyze you more effectively than iron shackles. Think of how many opportunities you've let slip because of fear. A prison made of what-ifs and worries can feel safer than the unknown outside, so you stay put, rattling the chains but never removing them. Meanwhile, the key to those chains, courage, lies unused at your feet. Desire and attachment forge more chains. You might be enslaved by appetites and addictions or by your attachment to comfort and routine. It's a cruel irony. The more you indulge every desire, the more you become dependent on them and thus unfree. Chasing pleasure and avoiding all discomfort makes you weak. Every unchecked craving for wealth, for status, for indulgence, locks you further in a cage of your own making. You become like the tyrant who utterly lacks self-control, the person who outwardly has it all but inwardly is ruled by insatiable lusts and fears, living in misery. That is what happens when you let desire and fear run your life. You become a tyrant over yourself, the worst form of slavery. Consider your own thoughts, your judgments and imaginings. The mind can be a vicious jailer. How often have you been tormented by your interpretation of events more than by the events themselves? A failure or rejection might hurt initially, but then your mind amplifies it. I'm ruined. I'm worthless. Those thoughts keep you behind bars long after the external cause has passed. Seneca wrote, "You are more often frightened than hurt, and you suffer more from imagination than from reality." Your mind runs wild with worst-case scenarios, manufacturing suffering that hasn't even happened. It's like a prisoner in a cell, imagining the walls closing in tighter and tighter, even though in reality an exit remains open. This monkey mind jumps to conclusions and clings to mental noise, leaving you feeling trapped in a cycle of agitation. Your inner prison is built from ignorance, fear, uncontrolled desire, and false judgment. Each negative belief, each cowardice, each indulgence, and each distorted thought adds another bar to the cell. It happens subtly and over time. You think you're protecting yourself, avoiding pain, seeking pleasure, following the only way you know, but really you are assembling the very cage you want to escape. The good news is that anything you build, you can also dismantle. If you have been the jailer, you also have the keys to unlock every aspect of the internal prison. It's time to use them. These are 5 specific philosophically proven keys to different aspects of your inner prison. Each key addresses a particular lock, a set of chains that keep you captive. Used together, these keys can swing open the door to a life of genuine freedom. Let's explore them one by one. Key 1. Self-knowledge. Know yourself. The first key is awareness. To recognize the prison for what it is, you must shine a light into the dark cell of your mind. This echoes the ancient Greek maxim, know thyself. Without honest self-examination, you remain unaware of the mental chains binding you. So begin by observing your own thoughts and habits. What beliefs keep you stuck? What fears reoccur? Question them. Dare to face the truth instead of comforting illusions. It can be painful. The light of insight can burn at first, but it is the beginning of freedom. Journal, meditate, seek wisdom. Ask what is genuinely good for your soul. This key of self-knowledge unlocks the shackle of ignorance. When you see clearly how you imprison yourself, the walls start cracking. Ignorance fetters you, insight frees you. Make self-reflection a daily practice, and you will find that the hidden doors in your psyche swing wide open. Key 2. Acceptance. Focus on what you can control. The second key is to stop fighting against reality. A huge part of your inner suffering comes from resisting what you cannot change. Distinguish between what is up to you and what is not. Realizing this difference is liberating. The things under your control are by nature free and unrestrained, but things not under your control are weak and slavish. Whenever you obsess over or try to control externals, other people's choices, the outcome of events, the inevitability of change and death, you hand power to things outside yourself and become an anxious slave to fortune. The key of acceptance invites you to release those futile chains. Accept that you cannot control other people's minds or the whims of fate. This isn't passive resignation. It's an active aligning of your will with reality. The Stoics use the term amor fati, love of one's fate, by embracing events as they come, by saying yes to what is, however difficult. You stop wasting energy banging on an unmovable wall. Your energy returns to you, to use where you do have agency, your own actions and responses. Try it next time something bad happens. Pause and remind yourself, is this within my control? If not, I will not let it imprison my mind. Paradoxically, acceptance unlocks the door to change. Free of complaining and resisting, you can respond rationally and serenely. This key of acceptance loosens the chains of frustration and victimhood. You reclaim the inner peace that comes from living in harmony with the way things are. Fate leads the willing and drags the unwilling. By accepting reality, you choose to be led instead of dragged, and therein lies freedom. Key 3. Self-mastery. Tame your desires and fears. The third key is to regain mastery over yourself, to rule the inner empire of your impulses rather than be ruled by them. Self-mastery is freedom. This means cultivating the virtues of temperance, self-control, moderation, and courage. Train yourself to endure discomfort and to say no when necessary. True freedom comes not from satiating every urge, but from shrinking your urges to only what is useful and good. Consider what desires have ensnared you, perhaps for excessive food or drink, constant entertainment, endless social media, or the rush of gambling, or even the desire for constant validation. Each of these, indulged without limit, tightens a collar around your neck. This doesn't mean to become emotionless, but to become disciplined, to enjoy things in accordance with virtue and reason, not as a helpless addict. Start small. Practice delaying gratification or choosing the harder but healthier path. In doing so, you prove to yourself that you are in charge, not your cravings. Likewise, confront your fears step by step. Courage isn't about not feeling fear. It's about not letting fear dictate your choices. When you act despite fear, having that hard conversation, stepping outside your comfort zone, you chip away at fear's power over you. Each act of courage widens the space of your freedom. No man is free who is not master of himself, Epictetus said, and he was right. This key of self-mastery unlocks the door of inner slavery. With temperance and courage, you gain a form of power no tyrant can ever take from you. Command over your own soul. Key 4. Right perspective. Change your thoughts, change your life. The fourth key is to use your uniquely human faculty of reason to interpret life in a liberating way. Events alone don't imprison you. It's your judgment of events that does. Marcus Aurelius writes in Meditations, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. You always have the key to your mental state in your pocket because you can choose how to view whatever happens. You can choose to see an obstacle as a catastrophe or as an opportunity to grow. You can decide that a criticism is a personal attack or instead see it as useful feedback or ignore it altogether. You can dwell on the one thing that went wrong today or feel grateful for the 10 things that went right. The situation doesn't imprison your mind. Your interpretation does. The Stoics literally practiced perspective shifting as an exercise. When something troubling happened, a Stoic might mentally step back and describe it objectively, almost as if it were happening to someone else, or imagine how it will seem in a year or 10 years. This diffuses the immediate emotional shock and lets wisdom speak. Often you'll find the event was not worth losing your inner freedom over. By doing so, you remember to check, is this under my control? If not, why anguish? Is this truly bad, or can I find some good in it? With this new lens, even misfortunes can be reinterpreted as lessons for virtue. A broken leg is an opportunity to practice patience and resilience. An insult is a chance to exercise restraint and self-worth. This isn't just positive thinking. It's accurate thinking because it recognizes that your mind adds layers of meaning to raw facts. Change those meanings and you change your experience. This key of right perspective throws open the window and lets fresh air into the stifling cell of negative thinking. It teaches you the liberating truth that while you often can't choose your circumstances, you can always choose your attitude. As a result, your mind becomes friend and liberator, not an enemy. You begin to see that life is what your thoughts make it. And by purifying your thoughts, you remove many of the self-forged bars between you and happiness. Key 5. Purpose and virtue. Live for something higher. The final key is perhaps the most profound. Orient your life toward virtue and meaning rather than ego and comfort. Why is this a key so essential? Because a great deal of your inner imprisonment comes from being wrapped up in yourself, your ego, your petty desires and fears. When you dedicate yourself to what is good and larger than you, you transcend the cramped cell of selfish preoccupation. If you cultivate virtue, external circumstances cannot enslave your soul. The person who rules themselves with justice and wisdom is fundamentally free and happy, while the unvirtuous person, no matter how externally powerful, lives in internal turmoil. Virtue, then, is the key to unlocking the deepest prison of all, the prison of a guilty, chaotic, purposeless soul. When you commit to living with integrity, courage, honesty, and kindness, you no longer live at cross purposes with your own conscience. Regret and shame, which keep people awake at night, begin to dissolve. You gain the freedom of self-respect and clarity. Moreover, having a purpose, something meaningful to strive for, whether it's raising your children well, contributing to your community, serving God, acts like a guiding star, pulling you out of the dark hole of self-pity. It gives you strength to bear hardships. As Viktor Frankl noted, people can endure almost any how if they have a why. Live in accordance with your highest values, align your will with the greater order of life, and you will experience a liberating peace. This means trusting that doing the right thing will lead you where you need to go and not making your happiness depend on worldly outcomes. It means serving others and not just yourself. Remarkably, when you do this, the walls of isolation and selfishness melt away. You realize you were never really alone in that cell. We are all in this human experience together. Compassion and connection with others become a key that opens your heart. This final key of purpose and virtue unlocks the door to a life of meaningful freedom. Freedom to be the best version of you, and freedom from the inner void that plagued you when you chased hollow goals. It elevates you from prisoner to pilgrim on a worthy path. You have walked through the dark corridors of your inner prison and have seen the 5 keys hanging within your reach. Perhaps you feel a mix of hope and apprehension. Hope at the thought that you can change this, and apprehension at what it might take. It's true. Using these keys requires effort, courage, and consistency. Freedom has a price. By paying the fee of fortitude and self-honesty, you remove the last hold that fortune or other people or your own weaknesses have over you. Think about that. A person who needs nothing and fears nothing unjustly cannot be controlled by anything. That person is free in the truest sense. This is the transformation awaiting if you earn it. An unshakable inner freedom even if the body is confined or the external circumstances are hard. And now you stand before the open door that once appeared locked. The keys are in your hand. Self-knowledge glints in one key, acceptance in another. Discipline, perspective, and purpose each await your grasp. Will you use them? No one else can turn them for you. It will not happen all at once. Liberation is a process, a journey of daily practice. There will be setbacks and moments you find yourself reaching for the old familiar shackles out of habit. But keep going. Every step you take into the sunlight, every small act of courage or moment of clarity will reinforce the new reality that you are free and always have been. The internal struggle that imprisoned you from the beginning, the captive versus the captor in your heart, will resolve into unity. The jailer will lay down his arms and become the guardian of your freedom instead. The prisoner will step out, blinking in the brightness of a larger world. Your world, the life you were meant to live. It's time to claim it. Walk out of that cell. Use these keys and don't look back at the clanking chains on the ground. The air outside is fresh, the horizon wide. Yes, there is a cost to freedom. Effort, honesty, perhaps even the pain of growth. But compared to the cost of staying imprisoned, it is a bargain. As you cross the threshold, you might feel fear. That's normal. But recall the promise implicit in all classical wisdom. If you dedicate yourself to this path, you will be transformed. The shackles will fall. The weights will lift from your shoulders. You will come to know a profound peace and strength that cannot be taken from you because it springs from within. So will you pay the fee and seize your freedom? The choice, as always, is yours. It has been all along. The prisoner and the jailer are both you, but so is the liberator. Open the door. Step into your life. You hold the key. If you paid the fee, comment "dues paid" below and send this to someone still pacing around in their cell waiting to be free. Also subscribe, because freedom is a daily habit and you don't want to miss the next episode.